Joining me now from the city is former England manager Garth Southgate, who is one of those ambassadors taking part today. Lovely to talk to you today. Why did you want to get involved in this?
Well, it's an incredible day, as you've said, with the BGC. Every year they raise a lot of money for a lot of different charities. Personally, I'm here today representing Help for Heroes and the brilliant work that they do. But as you've said, there are lots of charities benefiting from today. It's a bit of a madhouse, but a lot of fun.
Why Help for Heroes? Why is that important to you?
Well, I've got a lot of links with the military. Clearly, when I was managing the England team, a lot of our fans are from the armed forces. My granddad was in the armed forces. And we've got so many veterans who need help, having left the armed forces, not only physical injuries, but the psychological injuries that they carry with them. So the funds that this charity raise are hugely important.
The cause itself as well, the fact that we're marking 9/11, do you think there's a danger that, you know, a little bit like the First and the Second World Wars, we're going to soon have a generation that doesn't remember this pivotal thing in so many of our lives?
No, of course. I mean, I think for me it's one of those days that you remember exactly where you were and what you were doing, and such a significant date in history. But you're right, you know, unfortunately conflicts continue to go on as well, and you know, we're not just talking about veterans from wars of decades ago, but right up to the modern day. So this work unfortunately will never cease to be important.
Now, Gareth, I can't have you on without asking you about the footy. It was just a friendly, but England beat Finland 2-0 last night. It is just a couple of months since we were knocked out of the Euros. How hard did that hit you?
Oh, look, I mean, I had an incredible 8-year journey with the team. It was an absolute privilege to be manager of my country, work with brilliant players, fantastic staff. So, yeah, look, we wanted to do that final piece. We achieved so much across that period, and to have finished it by winning the final would have been perfection. But it wasn't to be, but I'm sure the team can now go on and be successful over the next few years.
I mean, was it your game plan always to resign if you didn't make it at the Euros?
Well, I thought about a lot of things. I think it was probably the right time for change. I think what you see now is that bit of hope that change can bring. And, you know, I'm completely content with that. 8 years is a long time in the role. I'm looking forward to different challenges ahead now, and I have to say I'm enjoying the rest.
It must be tinged with regret, though. I mean, 102 games, 62 victories, which is fantastic, but denied glory right at the end. Do you now look back, and it's only been a couple of months, but do you now reflect and think you could have done things differently? Would you have done things differently if you had the chance to go back?
I don't think you can have regrets. You know, we made decisions that, with the information we had at the time, to try and produce a winning team. We went to a first final in 60 years. We went to another final, the first we've ever been to away from England. So we made huge progress. Of course, as a professional, you want to win, and ultimately some people will judge you purely on that. But we also had some incredible nights. I think we've taken the team the consistency. We're ready to compete in every tournament, and you know, I'm hugely proud of that progress. As a leader, you have to look at where you picked it up and where you leave it.
And when you look at Lee Carsley, who's taken over in the interim, he's got a different strategy to you, it seems. He's faced a lot of criticism himself, for example, over you know, his stance on the national anthem. Is this part of what makes the job really hard, the noise that surrounds the job as well as the job itself?
Yeah, I think that's pretty apparent to anybody that lives in this country. You know what the role of England manager entails. I always knew, I saw my predecessors go through all of that, so I was under no illusions. I saw the very best of it, and I saw some difficult times, and in terms of a life experience, that was very special.
How do you block it out? Because a lot of it was really personal to you and pretty cruel.
I think as you get experienced and you're in that position for the length of time I was, you're able to filter out what's important, what helps you in terms of the job. You have to take decisions that at times will be unpopular, but you're doing those and making those decisions with all of the information that not everybody sees the players on the training pitch, their physical condition. And if you're affected by that noise in terms of your decisions, then you'll go down a dangerous route.
Can I ask you about Gary Lineker specifically? I mean, he made quite a lot of comments over the Euros. He's still getting digs in this week. He said, "I told you so" about your player choices. What do you feel about that?
I've really shut myself off from everything since I left. There's no point in me talking about the team now. It's for me to let other people take over, to give them the space to go and take the team onto the next challenges. There's no point in me getting involved in anything like that. I think it's important in these moments. I've left on good terms with everybody. I love the experience, but also it's time to go and do other things now.
Do you have regrets?
No, I don't, because I've given the job everything I had. I think it's one of those jobs that I was reading something Tony Blair wrote a few days ago, that when you start you have a lot of support and less capability, and when you finish you're far more capable. I felt really in control of the job, understood exactly what it needed, far better placed, but you have less support because you've been there a long time. So we raised expectations, and that was important. We needed to put English football back on the map, and I think we're now consistently at the top table.
So what's next for you? Retirement in inverted commas. You've got a new role in UEFA as a technical observer. Any thoughts about going back to club football?
Well, the role with UEFA is something I've done for 6 or 7 years, and it's not a full-time role in any way. But I think that in terms, sorry, I think it's okay. But no, I've got lots of opportunities. I'm very open-minded to what's next. That might be in football, that might be outside of football. I'm just going to take some time, refresh, recharge, and go from there.
You must have had approaches though about the Premier League. Have you had some conversations?
No, I think at the moment people know that I need to get some energy back. I'm intent on enjoying my life. I'm not going to rush into anything. I want to make sure that I make good decisions. And as I say, there's lots of different experiences that I'm enjoying, a bit like today. Got some charities that I want to support, which are very important to me. But also there's as I said, opportunities outside of football as well that I'm also quite interested in.
You're not thinking about coaching your local team on a Sunday morning, helping the kids actually at grassroots, because you've done so much for grassroots football?
Yeah, I did that a few years ago, but my kids have grown up now, so I'm probably not in that world, in that environment. I think there's probably bigger things that I might be able to affect than just one individual young team. But of course, I'm very proud of the changes to youth football that we implemented 10 years or so ago with the FA, which I think are helping youngsters to enjoy their football, but also helping to develop technically skillful players.
One final question about footy before we return to what you're doing today, and just wondered, what are your feelings about the amount of football that a lot of the young players that we're seeing coming up through the teams are playing? There seems to be a lot of demands on young players, quite a lot of concerns about whether they're being pushing too hard. Do you think the teams are doing enough to protect their players at the minute?
Look, I think the football calendar is something that everybody's very conscious of. The demands are high and the rewards are high, so there's a balance there. As always, nobody's putting their hands up for less money in terms of playing, so that comes at a cost, and I think there does need to be a central conversation about the calendar, but there are other people that are going to be making those decisions.
Well, for you, as you say, you've got a bit more time on your hands to do things like you're doing today down there at Boston Consulting Group. How can people get involved? If people are thinking that they would like to get involved, they would like to donate money to some of these good causes, what do they have to do?
Yeah, well, Help for Heroes have their own website, which is pretty self-explanatory. As I said, these guys have allowed us to operate as a country as we have for many, many years. A lot of them have given their health and their well-being to protect us, and it's very important that we support them through the next phases of their lives.
Well, Gareth, well done for what you're doing today. Congratulations for all you achieved for England. Lovely to talk to you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you ever so much, Jane. Thank you.
Cheers.